All right, welcome into another sports stream for 16 Sports here. I'm Jackson. That's Sabrina. Whoever Sabrina, we're finally doing this in person together.
I was gonna say together. You've been on the road, capturing. I mean, come on, Indiana's historic run. I just want to first ask you, how cool was it? I mean, you traveled to Atlanta, traveled to Miami, you covered this team. I mean, tell me.
Yeah, it was so cool. Obviously, Indiana football becoming the first 16-0 major college football team since Yale in 1894. That's my favorite stat of this whole thing.
Ever.
Obviously, it's been so incredible. Seeing all this, being there was electric. In Atlanta, I kind of talked about it. There was like 95% IU fans. Down there in Miami, it was more probably 60-40 IU to Miami because it was a home game for the Hurricanes, I guess, technically. But man, just seeing them pull that game out, such a great game. And then talking with everyone, it was such a cool experience.
I think my favorite soundbite that I actually ran earlier on in the week of Pat Coogan. He was talking about no one had hope in Curt Cignetti. When he first got here, he said, I want to win a national championship here. And everyone was like, okay, in your dreams.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No,
are you the basketball coach?
Yeah, literally. It's like, okay, sure, buddy. This guy's crazy. And then as, the season went on, they gained a little bit of confidence. You had more people, selling football tickets here and there. And Pat Coogan literally said, sometimes your dreams just have to be irrational. You have to get mocked and you have to get people being like, you're dumb. Like, that's not going to happen in order to believe, because those players, I can tell you that much, they believed. And Curt Cignetti made them believe. And I think having a program like that, have a head coach that first was like, I'm going to build this program literally from nothing to the top, and having all those players in that video right there believe, I think that's the biggest story of it all.
One of my favorite moments, maybe my favorite moment, from the whole experience. So after the game, the way it works is you kind of go to the press conference area, and then you go back out into the field, you record some, stand-ups on the field after everyone's kind of leaving. And so I'm out there on the field probably about, I'd say like an hour or so after the game's done, just kind of recording some things. And these two guys walk by me and they're like, they recognize WND. They're like, oh, we're from Indiana. I get to talking with them. And they played on the team back in the early 2000s.
Wow.
So I think like 03 to 07, they were saying, around that time frame. And I just asked them, I just said to them, like, did you ever think this was possible? Like, you played football for Indiana. Did you ever think that you could be here watching them win a national title? They just both looked at each other and then me and just were shaking their heads. Couldn't even, no,
like,
I could not believe that this
it,
could ever happen. Such a cool moment. Obviously Fernando Mendoza, today we learned he's officially declaring for the NFL draft. We kind of expected that. I really want to we've talked a lot about Indiana and how improbable it is, but also for Fernando Mendoza, this is one of the greatest seasons by a player we've ever seen.
Oh, 100%. You look at most of those plays in that game. He took humongous hits, and it was like that offensive line in that game was getting tested by that Miami defensive line. And I think it showed in that game how much of a warrior he is. He took those big hits. He was, pressured all night long. That one run where he ran in for the touchdown on the 4th and goal, it seemed like there was a different mindset, on that field. It was a different Fernando. But again, it's been the same Fernando, but also that's why he won the Heisman Trophy. He showed it on that field.
And I love the point you mentioned there, the offensive line for Indiana was struggling. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Watching that in person, they were getting absolutely manhandled for most of that football game.
Yep.
They were completely overmatched. And that's not a slight against them, because going into this game, I had been saying, and I think it showed that night, the Miami defensive line was the single greatest position group in college football. Those guys up front for Miami were just different. I walked past Ruben Bain Jr. right before kickoff, and seeing him in the pads, it is a different level of athlete. So I don't think it was too much of a surprise to me that Indiana's offensive line struggled, but you're right. The way Mendoza was able to just stand in the pocket, still deliver some throws when he needed, run when he needed. We kind of saw him against Alabama and Oregon leading these huge blowout wins and looking so poised in those moments. But this was a game where you couldn't look poised because of how tough it was, and he still got it done. So that was something really cool. But we're, keeping it moving on this stream. I want to talk a little bit about the Notre Dame women's basketball team. Last night beating Miami in a game where they were down by 8 after the first quarter. They come back. They win this one 74-66. They really needed this win after losing to Louisville and UConn.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is, like, we said it all year. It's like this is a new team, right? And this is a team that, has kind of gone through a lot of downs, found some ups here and there. But it's frustrating to see, them get these big wins, like that. I think it was North Carolina, they got that big win at home and then obviously fall into Louisville and then obviously UConn, the number 1 team in the country. That's already hard on the road. So, I bet it's frustrating to see them, get that big win, but also maybe pull away and have those 2, big losses there. But again, it's a team that hasn't really been through this before. Going on the road to face UConn, a lot of those players on that team have never faced a team like UConn before. And I think that's the number 1 thing that Neil Ivey talked about after the game is like considering, or not considering, but like continuing to find consistency and like continuing to find growth on the defensive side of the ball and getting the rebounds and here and there, because again, this team hasn't faced that before.
And Hannah Hidalgo, obviously right here, seeing with her get a steal, she actually became Notre Dame's career all-time steals leader. It was really funny. She passed Skylar Diggins, but Neil Ivey, she's 3rd all-time. And after the game, we asked Hannah about that, and she was like, about what it means to be number 1. She's like, well, I think Ivey, she's like top 3 or something, right, Coach? And it was pretty funny.
That's funny.
But she also became the fastest player in ACC history to reach 2,000 career points. This is a game where she really, they were struggling against this Miami team. Miami had a couple shot makers, had a couple, plays on offense. They were able to kind of get some, some easy looks from. And Hidalgo was able to force some turnovers, get out in transition, score when she needed to, and really win this game for them. But Sabrina, you haven't seen this yet, but this might have been Hannah Hidalgo's best moment last night, or maybe worse.
Okay.
Someone got in her way last night.
Oh,
yeah.
No. Oh no!
But she was nice enough
to
help
you up.
She was nice enough to help me up. So last night Hidalgo, she goes out in the break. I think it was on ACC Network. You could clearly see her run into me. Yeah. She did slow up a lot. I'm fine. She was fine. That's the biggest thing I was glad about. The camera is fine. That's that's always good too. But no, that was a fun moment. She was really nice about it. She helped me up and everything. But yeah, that was a moment that I got a couple of people texting me about.
Yeah, you had some, your phone's blowing up a little bit, but glad you're okay. But yeah, no, you just mentioned it right there, Hidalgo. She's been so consistent, right? She's an amazing player, an amazing teammate. So I think right now, seeing how the team, I know Vanessa De Jesus has shown a lot about a little bit of growth. Prosper's obviously having a great season. I think again, it's all about gelling together, learning about the strengths and weaknesses of this team. I think that's the number 1 thing about that. And
then now just kind of wrapping up real quick, I want to talk a little bit about the men's team as well. It's been a struggle recently. 5 straight losses right now, all 5 coming in the ACC. They're 1-5 in conference. That has them tied for last place. They will take on Boston College this upcoming week, tomorrow, so on Saturday. So that'll be a good opportunity. The Eagles are just 2-4 in the conference, but this has been a disappointing start to the calendar year for the Irish.
And it's it's hard. Marcus Burton being out. I know Keba now had that season-ending injury. Those things like that, you lose depth. And again, it's Micah Shrewsbury's 3rd year. It's getting a little bit testy, because it's like, okay, if he doesn't have another winning season, what's going to be next? But again, these injuries haven't helped them. It's going to be interesting to see how they can continue this season, because I know last year it was kind of like they went on a run towards the end of the season, and now it's like they've been on a few straight losses now, and it's like, how are you going to find consistency, but also again find these big wins, because that's the number 1 thing is they've been just struggling a lot.
And I think and the injuries you do have to factor in there. Right. Obviously Burton, best player on the team. And also point guard, so the ball's in his hands. Losing him just affects you in so many different ways. But you mentioned the Keba injury as well, not missing the rest of the season. That's a guy that's just been around this program for the past several years. That's a guy that just has a lot of experience, kind of like a leader, kind of part of the soul of this basketball team. So to lose him is also more than just maybe the production on the court. That Boston College game's important, but look, the ACC, it's better this year.
Yep.
Virginia's nationally ranked, Louisville, Duke. There's some good teams in this conference, so with games like Boston College coming up, Notre Dame really needs to pick up the wins where they can. That's about all the time we have here for today's sports. Remember, 16 Sports Extra coming up tonight at 11. As of right now, a lot of the Michigan games have been canceled. The Indiana high school basketball games still look pretty good. We'll keep on monitoring those. But whatever games we do have, we're going to be covering those. So make sure to tune into that on WNDU tonight. Thanks so much for watching.